Hey guys, Chris from Black Flag Barbell Club. Today we are going to talk about bracing and how we teach people to brace. Hopefully this will be a short, sharp and quick video that doesn't overload you with bullshit. Not bullshit, like you can go into a lot of detail with bracing, but ultimately we're looking for something quick and effective that gets people to brace effectively. So there are two main ways that I will describe the process of bracing and try and get people to brace correctly when they've walked in the door and they've never lifted before in their life. You first have to usually explain that when lifting heavy weights, you are going to hold your breath and brace rather than breathe in on the way down, out on the way up, as a lot of people are taught to do when lifting. So just holding your air is a step in the right direction, if nothing else. But there are two main ways, as I said, that I will generally describe bracing to someone. Number one is going to be pushing down, like you hold your air, you take a big breath in, you hold it, and then you push down as if you were doing a poop. So you take a big breath in, and then push down, same way you do if you're trying to shove out a sideways one. So you big breath in, and then brace on top as if you're doing a big poo. The second way I actually stole from Thomas Lilly. I think I heard him, I'm sure he's used it before, but the place that I heard it when he described it was on one of his podcasts. And he described it, I'm probably going to munt it up. It was very simple when he said it. I've yet to find a way that simply gets people to do it. Usually I get a few looks and they'll eventually get it. But if you were to take a big breath in and then blow it out forcefully, do that same thing, blow it out forcefully, but don't let it out. Keep your airway closed, and that is bracing. It's a very straightforward, direct way. That's literally all you have to do. So you take a big breath in, and you're pushing out, but not letting it out. So airway stays closed, but you are still pushing, trying to get it out, and that's bracing. Now I prefer that way in my mind because it does exactly what I want to do. That's how I brace. I don't think of it that way. I just brace at this point. So it's a very good way to get people to do everything they need to do with bracing, if you can understand it straight away. So the two that I use are those two: go into the loo, or big breath of air that you're pushing out, closed airway. And at this point, there's not really anyone who doesn't get it with one of those two. So let's have a look at the neutrality of torso position when bracing and describe or discuss why that's important. Alright, so we've got our two cues to get someone to brace. So we know that they're holding their air, we know that they're creating the right pressure, all that good stuff. Now, this should hopefully be, I don't know about common sense, but at this point this should be familiar to you. If you've been lifting for any length of time and you've been a student of the sport and you've looked into the technicalities of bracing in any way, this should hopefully look relatively familiar, my drawing notwithstanding. So our goal when bracing is to brace on a stacked neutral spine. Now your spine naturally has a slight curve to it. You're not like a razor straight thing. But we want to be pelvis and torso stacked and braced on top of one another. We don't want to be flexed. Most people understand that if you sort of bend forward, that's a bad thing under load. What a lot of people don't seem to either, they don't seem to understand that it's a bad thing, well, not a bad thing, but a less optimal thing, or they don't realize they're doing it, is that they can, a lot of people will overextend when they brace. So we're going to have a look at this, now in terms of, the pelvic girdle is aligned with the trunk. The way that is usually easiest to think of this is, are your ribs flared tucked in or neutral, and that will tend to give you a good starting reference point. But if you film yourself from the side and you notice that you overextend, for example, when squatting, then it's something that you can work on to improve your bracing, is you're aiming for this more neutral position, and I'll show you what we mean. Alright, so quite simply, if I'm standing tall, this is pretty neutral, yeah? So if I have one hand on my rib, one hand around my belly button, I want this distance to stay the same, yeah? I don't want this angle to open up because I've arched, and I don't want it to close down because I've flexed or folded, yeah? So, when I'm setting up under a squat bar, I'm not trying to extend into it because then my neutral position is compromised. I obviously don't want to take it out really round because most people know that that's not a great idea for back health. So I'm trying to find that neutral position. Yeah, I want to be in this neutral position and I want to keep it. I don't want to start the squat by breaking that neutral position and arching my back. I don't want to start the squat or finish the squat like neutral and come down and then round into it. Yeah? So I'm trying to find this neutral position and keep it. So I'm going to brace into that neutral position. And keep it. That's the goal when bracing. So, film your stuff from the side, have a look at how you're doing. You may find that the plates block your view and you might have to film some bodyweight stuff or film it from a 45-degree angle, whatever it may be. Play around with it, have a look at your lifting and just try and see, am I bracing in a neutral position or am I compromising somewhere and giving up potential kilos on the bar, because a braced neutral spine with practice is going to be much stronger than a compromised position where you're not really loading the spine as it was designed to be. Does that make sense? Yeah? So hopefully this has helped you. Any questions, wing us an email, send us a message, come on in, whatever, happy to help, and we'll see you next time.